going to do a tutorial on how I do clouds. There are a lot of tutorials out there, so many of them free, which is awesome that artists do that. And I've watched a lot of them and I've practiced a lot of clouds. So what I'm doing is nothing unique. It's just combining a lot of what I have seen from other tutorials and what I have read from books. I read a ton of books on watercolor online and the actual paper book. So what we have here is a piece of Arches bright white 140 pound cold press paper. I didn't know I had bright white, but apparently I do. And this is about a 5x7 or 5x8 sheet of paper. I've got it taped down to a piece of board, and I've got my colors over here. I've got some magenta, I've got some indigo mixed with a little bit of ultramarine, and then I've got some manganese. You could use cerulean. Really, you could use any colors you want. You could throw in some Payne's gray if you wanted to make a pretty intense dark cloud. I've got some clean water, and then I've got this, it's a wristband, like for playing tennis or something, and it's perfect for dabbing your brush on to prevent too much water from going onto the paper. So I always use this to dab. And then of course I've got paper towels. Can't do anything without a paper towel close by. So first I'm going to take this oval wash brush. It's a cheap one. It's probably, oh gosh, $4 or $5. It's pretty cheap, synthetic. If you don't have a wash brush, don't worry about it. Use whatever you've got. I just like to use this when I'm wetting the entire page, just because it's a lot faster. It just holds a lot of water and I can get done with it a lot faster. But if you don't have it, don't worry about it. Just use whatever you have. And I'm just going to wash the paper, making sure that the entire paper is saturated. And to check it, you can kind of tilt it and look at it in the light to see if there's any flat spots that aren't shiny. I think I see some over here. And then just make sure that it's completely saturated. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so I'm going to take another brush. Again, this is a cheap brush here. It's Simply Simmons. I have the Kolinsky, what I call my fancy brushes. I have those too, but I don't use them to do background work and do washes and something like that. I save them for detail work and when I really want to do something very precise. It's pretty, the Kolinsky Sable brushes, like I said, I save those for the more detailed work because I don't want to ruin them. And doing things like dry brush technique and other things, it's just better to use a cheap one, because if you can see there's hairs all split, and this one's been through a lot, which is fine. It's perfect for this. So I'm going to start adding some color at the top here. This is the manganese blue. I'm going to add in some of the indigo. And you can slant the paper so that it'll start coming down, let gravity help. I'm going to throw in some pink here and there, the magenta, some more of just dropping it in and spreading it out. Okay, I'm going to hold it up for just a minute, a couple seconds, and let the gravity kind of help here. You see how the paper is buckling? It's warping. That happens. It's nothing to be concerned about. You see how here, by holding it up and letting gravity help, it kind of looks like it's raining there. That will dry kind of in a neat way. So we've got it all wet. We've dropped in some color. Now we're going to dab up some clouds. Just take your kitchen towel paper, your paper towel, and just dab it wherever you want clouds. I have have to angle it here to see it a little bit better. Okay. Now what I do is I've got the main cloud kind of formed here. So I'm going to take a little small section of the paper towel and I'm going to add some brighter highlights for the cloud. So I press down pretty hard. I don't know if you can tell, that's a lot whiter there. That just gives more highlights and gives it more dimension. So just press kind of hard, leave it there for a second or two, and it will. Okay, you can kind of see that. So obviously I don't want those bright white spots to be sticking out too much. So I'll take my brush into water, I dab it on a paper towel or something because I don't want it too wet, and I kind of smooth the edges. Just go around, just lightly smoothing those edges. It'll keep the bright, but it won't make it so a stark edge. And there's cat hair on here. If y'all have seen me on the Facebook group, you know that I have a cat named Cucumber. Her nickname is Toonces. And she's like always in here. I had to close the door to keep her out, or otherwise her tail would be right here trying to help. Okay, so even as it is right now, it's still, it's actually kind of pretty cloud. Got some good formation over here. I like how the pink's kind of coming through. But I want to show you something. You need to make sure this gets completely dry, and you can always tell, oops, it's still pretty wet, how buckled it is by turning it up and looking at it. You can see it's all wavy. You'll know when it's completely dry, when it's not wavy like that. Okay, so let it dry. I know I say that all the time in the Facebook group, but just let it dry. Okay, so it looks pretty dry, it feels pretty dry, but I want to show a trick to you. So if you hold it up and kind of look at it from the side, you'll see it's still kind of buckling. It's real important to wait to, if it's 100% cotton paper, it will get almost completely flat if it's completely dry. And that's real important, especially doing a delicate area like clouds. You really want it dry before you do another layer. So just let it completely dry. Okay, it's completely dry now. It feels dry, but more importantly, when I hold the board up, you can see that it's completely flat. There's no buckling at all. So here it is. Now at this point, what you could do is basically do the same thing again. Just spread it, add some water, drop in some color, smooth the edges, let it dry if you wanted it a lot more intense. But I like it just the way it is. It's kind of happy clouds. You've got some of that magenta. I really like how that kind of puts a purple hue there. I like that. I like it down here where it looks like it's kind of raining. I think it turned out pretty good. It's, like I said, it's kind of happy clouds. So this I used the manganese blue, ultramarine mixed with some indigo and magenta. And here's another one that I did, and this is all Prussian blue and Payne's gray. And this is when I used Prussian blue, manganese, and I think it was Payne's gray also. And here this was done with Payne's gray, Prussian blue, and I believe that was it. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope to see some clouds posted soon. Thanks, bye.